How's it going, everyone? You got your boy Corey here, aka Crasher, bringing you guys a new video, and ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a different video on the menu here tonight. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's proceed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in a video like this, I would like to humbly request that you take what is being said and talked about here with a pinch of salt. Now, this video is mostly going to be centralized around Pokemon Showdown and also Kotaku as well, because Kotaku actually made an article on Pokemon Showdown, and it was pretty interesting to say the least here in this situation. So first off, let's talk about Pokemon Showdown briefly. What exactly is Pokemon Showdown? Pokemon Showdown is a website that mainly features a Pokemon battle simulator that allows for you to find Pokemon battles within a matter of seconds, and you're able to hone your skills as a competitive battler. Now, it isn't just a Pokemon battle simulation, as there are also other key ingredients to being a competitive battler, such as team building, such as EV spreads, as well as damage calculations. And Pokemon Showdown also has something insanely unique and effective about them, and that is a tiering system. That's right. We actually have ourselves every single Pokemon of every single form organized into different tiers, so that way there isn't really anything that is too overpowering in their respective tiers, and if there is, they hold a suspect test to see if whether or not that Pokemon that they are testing is a fit for that tier or if it needs to be banned. And something else that I really and truly enjoy about Pokemon Showdown would be the fact that they have tiers that normally wouldn't be a thing if you were to battle in the traditional way, being on your game consoles, and those are tiers that involve things like balanced Hackmons or something that has a unique set of rules around it that would otherwise be an impossibility on your actual games. And Pokemon Showdown for me has been an amazing tool that has allowed for me to gain my roots as a competitive battler ever since coming across that website in 2014. And through the years of being on Pokemon Showdown and being a part of the Smogon community, I have had countlessly amazing battles with a lot of amazing battlers. Hell, because of Smogon, I have made a lot of amazing friends in the competitive scene, and they have also helped me to establish my roots further as a competitive battler by actually sparring with me in competitive matches and allow for me to gain even more knowledge about how to be an effective battler, because it isn't just about how effectively you can build teams, it's also about things like predictions, but predictions is something that you gain as a skill over time. It isn't just something that happens overnight. Now, granted, things like Pokemon Showdown and things like Smogon, or any community for that matter, they aren't always perfect. You are going to run into bad apples. You are going to run into those that exhibit toxic behavior. That just kind of goes without saying, and that kind of goes with the territory of potentially any and every community that there is in existence. But it's also highly unfair and kind of immature of someone to make a very vast generalization about the entirety of the whole community based on the actions from a few bad apples in comparison. But more on that later on. Alright, so now let's go ahead and let's talk about Kotaku's article on Pokemon Showdown. Now, Kotaku's article, for the most part, consisted of interviews from a variety of people, such as Joey PokeMD, who is a competitive Pokemon YouTuber, Wolf Glick, who is very, very synonymous with the VGC community, and even the creator of Pokemon Showdown himself, being Zarl. Now, they were talking about their experiences with Pokemon Showdown and giving a very, very high and positive review on Pokemon Showdown. And there's a few pieces of this article that really kind of jumped out at me, so we're gonna kind of talk about them in a little bit more detail here. Around 1 million players a month are throwing down in Pokemon Showdown, a fan-made browser-based game that recreates the battles found in official Pokemon games with accurate stats. It's arguably even better than using the official games to battle, since it's faster and more customizable. Showdown is so good that professional players even use it to practice for Nintendo's official tournaments. And I can personally attest to this statement right here, because of the fact that when you are waiting for a battle on your 3DS or Nintendo Switch, the wait time can be a bit much, whereas opposed to playing Pokemon Showdown, you don't have to wait that long at all. And not to mention also, it's a useful tool for thousands and thousands of players to get into competitive battling or to keep honing their skills as a competitive battler, so much so to the level of competing in official Pokemon sanctioned tournaments. So one thing that really jumped out at me here is a quote from Zarl himself. "It's fun and easy to use," Luo said, "and it's a web game that doesn't require installing anything. If anything, Luo is underselling it. For starters, Pokemon Showdown offers players countless more ways to play than official Pokemon games do. You can follow battle spot rules to simulate what battles would be like on your 3DS, or use the rules from the Pokemon Video Game Championships, or VGC for short, to practice for official tournaments. But the options don't stop there. You can use randomly generated teams, develop a team of Pokemon that share a single typing to battle other teams following the same team building rules, or painstakingly craft the perfect party to climb the ladder in the fan-made tier system known as the Smogon tiers." And that right there is in fact true, because the thing is that Smogon's Pokemon Showdown accommodates as many play styles as possible. Whether you want to play by the official battle spot rules, whether you want to play by VGC rules, or whether you want to play by unofficial rules, such as having battles in tiers that normally wouldn't be existent or established in regular play, such as balanced Hackmons, such as monotype, such as random battles, etc., etc. Barring organizing the battle with a friend and agreeing to a set of rules beforehand, there is no way of limiting the Pokemon brought to a battle on your 3DS or Switch. As such, most battles see teams of high-powered legendary Pokemon face off against each other, which many players find repetitive and boring. Which is also true, and I think it's safe to say that I can attest for the thousands of players that are frustrated with having to constantly run in to overpowered legendary Pokemon, or run into the same teams that consist of superpowered legendary Pokemon when it comes to your 3DS battles. It gets a little bit frustrating and boring after a while. Whereas opposed to playing by Smogon rules, you have tiers established, so that way you don't have to worry about running into uber powerful Pokemon like Primal Groudons or Rayquazas or Mewtwo's or anything like that. Smogon tiers offer a chance for less useful Pokemon to shine. OU, or Overused, is the most popular tier, as it eliminates most legendary and broken Mega Evolutions, but allows the full scope of the rest of the Pokedex, including most of the Ultra Beasts, a classification of legendary Pokemon introduced in Sun and Moon. And that right there just kind of reinforces the point and significance of the importance of tiers when it comes to competitive play, at least as far as Smogon is concerned. Building a specific team in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon can take hours. First, you need a Ditto with 6 flawless individual values, or IVs for short, which would be near impossible to find without the use of handy Reddit traders. So most make do with 5 perfect IVs, then breed it with one of the Pokemon you want to use in your team. Make sure Ditto's holding the rare Destiny item to ensure it passes down its IVs, and then wait. Hatch the resulting egg. If it's not right, do it again and again and again. All manner of things need to be perfect, from the 6 flawless IV statistics to the Pokemon's nature and ability, so it can take a while to even breed the right monster. Then you need to train it to level 50, teach it the right moves, and train all of its 508 effort values, or EVs for short, stats. Now on to the 5 other Pokemon. Sometimes this sort of grind can be a very therapeutic way to spend your days. Other times, like when you realize your Garchomp needs to be faster than a Kartana to get off a surprise Fire Fang, and a Choice Scarf won't do, you need to breed a new Garchomp with a jolly nature to replace your fully trained Adamant buddy. Now, I can definitely understand the frustrations of having to hatch egg after egg after egg after egg when it comes to breeding for the competitive Pokemon of your desire, but from my personal experience, I do enjoy breeding. I think it's very therapeutic. I personally enjoy training my Pokemon by hand rather than having them injected into my game. But with Pokemon Showdown, it actually allows for me to better establish exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to breeding for my competitive team, because what I can do is, if I have 6 hypothetical Pokemon that I think are really, really good in a team together, I can simply throw them together, throw my IDs together in that pot, and I can test them in a battle in a matter of seconds, and if I'm happy with the result, then I can then focus my energy on breeding for those Pokemon and training them up, whereas opposed, if I didn't have Pokemon Showdown, I would end up potentially having to waste all of that time thinking that my idea for a competitive team would be good, but if I was to actually test it out, it wouldn't be that good. But the thing is, with Pokemon Showdown, all I gotta do is simply rewrite some stats and rewrite some natures, and maybe tweak things up, and then I can translate that into what I'm looking forward to in my actual 3DS game. On Showdown, all this fine-tuning takes place in a matter of clicks. The ability to test minor stat changes before breeding your chosen Pokemon in-game makes it the perfect way for professionals to test their teams ahead of official tournaments. Only after they verify how a certain team composition would work in Showdown Simulator do they go through the work of building that team in the official game. Which is exactly what I am saying right here, because without Showdown, you know, there's gonna be a lot of difficulty and a lot of frustrations, especially if you happen to breed for Pokemon that you think are going to be good on paper, but when practice comes into play, they happen to function very terribly. You're gonna be pretty frustrated, you know, all that hard work down the drain. But with Pokemon Showdown, it allows for you to make fine-tuning and tweaks to your competitive team, so that way when you go to actually make the team in your actual game, you know what you're looking for and you know exactly what it is you have to do precisely. So here's the thing. With this article now being a thing, now being on public record, people are actually worried about Pokemon Showdown actually being shut down. And the reason is because there's a bit of history going on whenever it comes to Nintendo shutting down Pokemon fan-made projects. And the timing would be very, very odd, because you would have articles being written about those fan projects, but here's the thing, is that shortly thereafter, those projects are suddenly Thanos snapped out of existence. So, I mean, I can understand why people are worried about Kotaku potentially being responsible for the shutdown of Pokemon Showdown, which I hope to God does not happen. And here's a statement right here that actually also jumps out at me, but for a different reason. For whatever reason, Nintendo hasn't issued any cease and desist orders to online Pokemon battle simulators in the way it usually does to other fan games. While a battle simulator is considerably different from a ROM hack, Showdown still uses trademarked names and copyrighted artwork, which could be an issue if Nintendo Nintendo ever decides to come knocking, will decline to comment on any potential legal matters. Now, yes, while Pokemon Showdown does use copyrighted works, the thing is that they don't make any money off it whatsoever. They have absolutely no ownership whatsoever when it comes to the actual copyrighted work. This right here is all from the goodness of Pokemon fans' hearts. You know, this is something that has been very, very helpful for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of players who are into competitive Pokemon battling, and yours truly happens to be one of those people that Pokemon Showdown has helped over the years of usage. But if I can also say this as well, I really kind of don't like the wording here in this particular statement for whatever reason, you know? For me, it just kind of comes off a little bit off-putting, you know what I mean? Like, it almost seems like that it's a challenge for Nintendo to shut down Pokemon Showdown, but that's just me, you know? Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, I don't know. But what do you guys think? Because there are a lot of people who are very outraged with this, and to be honest with you, I can't exactly blame them too much because of the fact that there has been a history of Pokemon fan projects being shut down moments after you would have articles publicized about those projects. So it is a little bit more than understandable why people would be fearful of Pokemon Showdown being shut down. But with that being said, I mean, all we can do is just sit and wait and hope that doesn't happen. But what are your guys' thoughts overall about this sort of situation? Do you think people are right to be fearful for Pokemon Showdown and its future about it being shut down? Or are people perhaps maybe looking too much into this and that it's not going to happen at all? Because in all honesty, I'm pretty sure Pokemon Showdown is known by Nintendo, and if Nintendo really wanted to, they could have easily shut it down. So maybe perhaps people are reading too much into it, but maybe, just maybe, they aren't. What are your guys' thoughts? For me personally, I'm kind of like in the middle here because on one end, I want to maybe think that maybe people might be overreacting a little bit here. But then again, if we also take other elements into consideration, such as other fan-made Pokemon projects being shut down whenever there are articles published about them, I think that people also have a right to be fearful of potentially Pokemon Showdown being shut down because Kotaku wrote an article about it. But anyways, that's going to be a wrap up here for this video. Now, I do want to say that there is potentially going to be a second part here to this video because I did say earlier on, you know, I touched base briefly on the toxicity part of this video, and I said more on that later, and by more on that later, I'm talking about more on that later in a future video. So stay tuned for part 2 because part 2 is going to be addressing some of the drama around this article and around Kotaku. And by drama, well, we're talking about a certain individual here that is very, very synonymous with Pokemon community drama, and that person is Verlicify. I happen to have seen his videos talking about Kotaku and their article in Pokemon Showdown, and let's just say there are some things I have to say about it, but that's going to be saved for a later episode here. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be a wrap up here. I want to say thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, and smash up in the comments down below because I love hearing from you guys. Always have, always will. So have yourself a good day or night, depending on your time zone, and I'll see you guys in the next one.